Welcome to Jersey Line. It's the second week of the NFL. Thursday night starts it all. Year to date, we'll be running this on the bottom of the screen. Last week, I went 6, 9, and 1 push. I had 9 losses. I was terrible. Don't even look at me. I'm horrible. Don't bet with me. But there were reasons. And it was incredible. One of the main reasons you've seen in the week 1 where you had games in the bag in the fourth quarter and they failed because the players haven't been playing in the preseason. They're holding out the starters, and it was apparent in the fourth quarter. These guys were gassed. There was, I think it was Jimmy Johnson who said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. When these guys were tired at the end, they weren't stopping anyone. The Detroit Cardinal game. Cardinals, they did nothing for 3 quarters. Detroit got gassed. At the end, when the Cardinals are going to tie the game up, you've seen the defensive line down on one knee. They were gassed. And I said, no, this is not going to work for me. Same thing, the Jets were gassed. New Orleans, they didn't cover. They got gassed. Yeah, it was incredible. And at the end of the game, New Orleans had to get it going. So they had like 120 yards of offense between the two teams at the end. And New Orleans pulled it out, but they didn't cover. The Charger game was like that. These guys were spent. So we hope to do better this week. Again, year to date, 6, 9, and 1. I had the 1 push. All right, we got Thursday night. And remember, bet with me. Don't bet over your head. There's gambling organizations. I don't even know why we have to put that on the screen. If you got a gambling addiction, you should not be betting on the NFL. You shouldn't be betting in New Jersey. A lot of gambling in New Jersey. We're the #1 state for gambling now. We have surpassed Las Vegas. Kudos to Senator Ray Lesniak. He's the one that brought pro football and pro sports betting to New Jersey. He fought for it for 10 years. All right, first game, Thursday night. We got Tampa at Carolina. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with Cam Newton's shoulder. Jameis Winston, he goes hot and cold. I think he's going to go hot tonight. Plus, you're getting 6.5 points with Tampa. I'm going with Tampa. Now, Sunday games, 1 o'clock. Indianapolis, another team almost pulled it out last week, at Tennessee. Tennessee bumped Cleveland. Odell Beckham and Baker, they got bumped by Tennessee. This is my lock of the week, by the way. Tennessee -3. Lock of the week. By the way, my lock of the week, good last week. I'm 1-0 in locks of the week, but we'll get that on the bottom of the screen. Another 1 o'clock game, the Chargers at Detroit. After what I seen last week, and Patricia is supposedly a defensive coach from New England, and I'm going to tell you, the Belichick coaching tree, I don't think there's one that is successful. You may say Saban, but he's only been successful in college. None of them are successful in the NFL. There's no reason at all Detroit gets the game tied up on them last week. No reason at all, outside of fatigue. I'm going with the Chargers, who also had a fatigue issue last week, -2.5. The Buffalonians, they're still in New Jersey. They came back on the Jets last week. Now they're playing the Giants. Eli has got to pull us out, and I think they can beat Buffalo. Anybody should be able to beat Buffalo. If the Giants don't win this week, things are going to get really ugly. The Jets don't win on Monday night, things are going to get really ugly in New Jersey. I'm taking the Giants at home +2. I believe in Eli. I don't believe in our cornerbacks and safeties and our defensive line. 1 o'clock game, we got Arizona at Baltimore. Baltimore put on, I think it was 59 points last week. Arizona, they got lucky at the end against Detroit. It's a big spread, 13.5 points. I think the kid Murray got his feet on the ground. It's a big spot. I like big spots, and last week all the big spots worked out. All those 9.5, they worked out. I'm going to take Arizona, getting 13.5 points. Miami, the Miami Tankers. I'm going to take Miami against the Brady's with Antonio Brown. And everybody's talking about Antonio Brown. There's some sexual assault charges against him in the civil court. He may be put on the commissioner's exempt list. kind of tough to do that when the owner of the New England Patriots is in a criminal situation right now with a sex situation at a massage parlor. So how are you going to put Antonio Brown on the sidelines when you got Kraft up in the box? The Miami Tankers, I'm going to take against the New England Patriots, getting 19 points. Yes, Miami's tanking it, but how do you turn down 19 points in an NFL game? I'm hoping New England sits everybody in the second half, and the Dolphins cover. 1 o'clock, I got Dallas at Washington. Washington ran up the score. I think there was 17 zip. I'm getting 9.5 last week. I'm in good shape. I had to hang in on that one. But we won that game. That was one of the big spots. Dallas are pretty damn good. And Elliott's back. He's got a full week of practice. He looked pretty good last week. I'm going to take Dallas -5. 1 o'clock game. We got Jacksonville at Houston. Jacksonville, I lost with them last week. Nick Foles got knocked out on a touchdown pass. He's going to be out for about 4 to 6 weeks. You know, I don't know what we got in Jacksonville there. They look like they're reverting to last season. I'm going to go with Houston, and I'm giving 8.5. Houston -8.5. Seattle at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got dumped by the Brady's New England Patriots last week. Seattle is one consistent team. There's really no high and lows with Seattle. And I'm getting 3.5 points. So I'm taking Seattle 3.5 plus 3.5 at Pittsburgh. San Francisco at Cincinnati. You know what? Cincinnati was another one of my big spreads last week, and we won with them. San Francisco, they were a little shaky last week, but they pulled it out. I'm going to go with them one more time. -1.5 against Cincinnati. We'll see what happens here. That kid, Garofoli, I think he's a real good quarterback. Minnesota at Green Bay. I'm getting Green Bay. I'm taking Green Bay -3 points. They didn't look too good in the last game, but I got faith in Aaron Rodgers. 4 o'clock game. Kansas City at Oakland. I went against Kansas City last week because I thought there was, Jacksonville was going to give them a run for their money. That didn't happen. Kansas City, I'm going to take them against Oakland -8, even though Oakland didn't look too bad on Monday night. 4 o'clock game, New Orleans at the Rams. I think the New Orleans Saints are probably going to the Super Bowl. Drew Brees can crank it up when he needs, and the guy's like, 41 now? I'm going to take New Orleans +3 versus the Rams. Another 4 o'clock game, we got Chicago at Denver. Denver got thumped by the Raiders last week. Chicago lost. Trubisky, as I said last week, he's got to take his game up one notch, and he didn't do that last week. The defense is there. Chicago is back to the monsters of the Midway. I'm going to take Chicago -2.5. And we got the 8 o'clock game Sunday night. Philadelphia is at Atlanta. Atlanta looks lost. Matty Ice there, Brian, I don't think he's going to pull it off this year. Here's a team that should be able to do it, and they just can't put it together. I'm going to take Philly -1.5. Monday night game. Here we are. We got our Jetsies versus the Baker Boys with Odell Beckham. I'm going to go one more time with the Jets and 2.5. Jets, 2.5. All right, listen, bet with your head. Don't bet more than you can afford. Let's see how I did next week. Good luck. I'll talk to you next week. Good night.